Hello, and welcome to the All Age Show. In our last episode, I promised a free strategy to help you and your teenager manage your time and get work done faster. And here it is. In this episode, you will discover how a little vintage tomato timer can vastly improve productivity and train the brain to stay on task. I am Annie Agin, and your teenager's brain is my jam, as is their prefrontal cortex. That's where these very important skills are growing as we speak. They are the executive functioning skills. You want your kiddo to be able to graduate from school and go off on their own, hold down a steady job, and participate in a loving and healthy relationship, right? And you want them to remember to call home every once in a while too. Well, they can do all that, but not without fully operational executive functioning skills. I provide you insights and techniques to help your teenager and to help their brain so they can perform well in school and in life. The best place to start with that daunting task of getting our young ones ready for the rest of their life is with the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique is a time management tool, and I think it's the best time management tool. It involves splitting work tasks into 25-minute intervals. These are known as Pomodoros, with 5-minute breaks scheduled in between each interval. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Step one is that the student finds a dedicated study space and it should be free from distractions, well lit. They should have everything set up for a successful study session. And they will need to determine what needs to get done first. And this is practicing prioritization. The second step is to set the tomato timer for 25 minutes. The subtle ticking of the timer will be audible in the background, not too distracting, and the first Pomodoro has begun. My students practice employing laser focus like a cerebral sprint. They are all in for the full 25 minutes. And I also teach them a method that they use to regulate these interrupting thoughts and any external distractions during the hyper focused 25 minutes. Next is step three, and it is a 5-minute break when the timer goes off. And this feels like a break and it looks like a break. We do actually get up and stretch and we move our bodies and we move away from technology. But my clients know that during the 5-minute diffused rest period break, very magical things and chemical things are happening in the brain. And they know that right now, even though they may be cuddling with their canine, their brain is recharging. It's consolidating, connecting, it's even balancing out neurotransmitters. And when the student, when they learn the neurological phenomena of hyperfocused and diffuse brain functions, then I find my students feel really empowered by a neurobiological hack that they know because they understand what's happening under the hood. And that's why they buy into this practice and they don't give up on this practice. It really works. Knowledge is power. Step four then is to come on back and repeat the 25-minute Pomodoro, again with cognitive effort and hyperfocus. Everyone protects Pomodoro. So, parents, you're not allowed to break the Pomodoro, even for dinner or chores. You have to wait until the timer goes off. Lastly, step five is another break. This one can be a little bit longer than 5 minutes. And for my neurodiverse and ADHD brains, we always want to start with a little slower of approach, maybe only 15 minutes Pomodoro, followed by a longer 10-minute break. We want to give these precious brains time to build up more stamina for a full 25-minute Pomodoro. Now, this 5-step cycle just outlined is really at the heart and soul of what is the Pomodoro technique. But it's important to recognize that the Pomodoro is a much larger, much more robust time management system, a full system. And if you find yourself turning fanatical about the Mighty Tomato, if you really like it, then you can actually become a certified Pomodoro master. You can read the original book written by its founder. You can sign up for the live courses that are offered for both students and professionals through the Pomodoro Institute. You can download the Pomodoro technique sheets. There's a lot of ancillary pieces that go into the Pomodoro system. You can track your blocks of time in all sorts of different ways. Just know that the Pomodoro is so much more than just a time tracking technique. When used frequently and as a part of this larger system, I find that my students with ADHD, they actually start to measure and talk about and refer to time in pomodoros instead of minutes. No kidding. It's it's been said, you've probably heard this, that the ADHD brain has only 2 modes of time. There's now and there's not now. And I know that's funny, but true. It's difficult to predict how long something takes or when something going to happen, sometimes called time horizons for the ADHD brain. It's just really it's challenged by time notions. They don't really have an internal barometer to rely on to get time right. But teens with ADHD who use a Pomodoro actually measure time and tasks in units of tomatoes, and it really, really works. So in coaching, I'll ask them, so how long do you think this book report's going to take? And they'll say, I think I can crank it out in 5 Pomodoros. Alrighty, done. So, and then as their coach, though, I will always add in one extra 25-minute Pomodoro just for good measure because we all tend to underestimate how long the hard stuff takes. The Pomodoro technique was developed in 1987 by an Italian university student named Francesco Cirillo. He was studying for his exams at home, at his childhood home, and he was really struggling with focus and stamina. He was tired. He was looking around and he saw his mom's tomato shaped kitchen timer. And he thought, I have nothing to lose. He set it, and he was really surprised to find that it helped him with focus and productivity, despite feeling so cognitively depleted in that moment. And from that emerged this elaborate and effective system that millions, yes, millions of people around the world use today. Cirio is quoted saying that he wanted to use time effectively and turn it into an ally rather than thinking of it as a vicious predator that was feared and avoided, to be feared and avoided. And isn't that true? We all fall victim to chronic procrastination, and sometimes it feels as though time seems to warp into this foreboding, dark, and d- evil force that causes us guilt and shame. And well, we don't have to worry about that now. Thank goodness for the Pomodoro technique, the mighty tomato to the rescue. My students, both young and old, they know how to create an environment with this powerful tomato timer. And they also, as I mentioned, feel empowered because they know they are totally confident that they will be productive and efficient and that they have some control over their time, their focus, and their brain. And now you do too. So pick up a vintage tomato timer. Remember to protect the Pomodoro. It is sacred. Don't let it collect dust when it arrives to your home. My recommendation is parents buy the timer for yourself and your own use and have your teenager go online and choose the timer that they like. There are so many available. Not an app, though. We want a physical timer. They come in all sorts of fruits, pear, pineapple, apples. There's an assortment of them out there. So let your kiddo choose the one that they prefer. Have them use it for homework, studying for tests, but also pull it out when they're expected to complete chores. I always tell parents, you will know the prime time to use a Pomodoro, and it's when your child will say, "Oh, do I have to?" It'll be a sign that it's an effortful task, and that's your cue to pull out the Pomodoro. And parents, I implore you to do the same thing. Teach by modeling. Do a Pomodoro while you are reconciling your checking account at the end of the month or you're working on your family budget. You can use it for getting to the bottom of the laundry or prepping for dinner. You can even set a family Pomodoro and say to the family, everyone have your rooms neat and clean, everything picked up in 20 minutes flat, and then meet in the living room. That's when our family movie night begins. Your kids are watching you. And believe it or not, they really do want to emulate your behaviors. So integrate these best practices to model for your teenagers. I even used a Pomodoro to prepare for this episode. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that you feel like you have a gem of a strategy now in your own toolbox. It is just one of many incredible techniques or hacks, as my students like to refer to them. Remember that active brains, ADHD brains, are neurodiverse learners. They cannot live without these kinds of implementations. And I teach these regularly in all of my coaching. So use it. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how you optimize and customize the Pomodoro for your own unique brain and for your own teenager's unique learning style as well. Adios.